We're having a look at the 2025 Mazda CX-50 hybrid, and this is a big deal for Mazda. It's the first time they've done a hybrid in this range, and they're coming into a market that is filled with some very strong and established contenders. Question is whether Mazda is ready to deliver a hybrid crossover that is ready to shake things up and still be satisfying to drive. What's it like? Buckle up, my friends. Let's go for a drive. I'm your host, Brian Max Racer, lover of driving fast, fun things. And on this channel, you get reviews for drivers from drivers. Now, this isn't exactly Mazda's first hybrid. And for 2025, the CX-70 and CX-90 with their hybrid drivetrains are here. But this is a game changer for Mazda. It's a highly contested market. And there is no shortage of hybrid competitors in this mid-size crossover category. And before we get into what this is like to drive, let's have a look at it in a little more depth. I'm already a fan of the CX-50, but this hybrid is completely different from a mechanical standpoint. The gasoline motor is a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated four-cylinder, makes 176 horsepower at 5,700 RPM and 163 pounds of torque from 3,600 to 5,200 RPM. The hybrid system is fairly complex, and total system power is rated at 219 horsepower and 163 pounds of torque. There is a 1.5 kilowatt-hour battery on board. The transmission is an electronically controlled CVT, and this, of course, is all-wheel drive. This uses something called a series parallel hybrid system, means the electric motor can work with a gasoline engine or on its own, kind of like a tag team. Sometimes they work together for maximum power, sometimes the electric motor takes the lead for better efficiency, and one thing that Mazda doesn't really talk about is the system is borrowed from Toyota. It is their hybrid Synergy drive, which has been around for ages and is definitely known for its reliability. Up front, there are two electric motors, actually. One starts the engine and generates electricity, while the other one helps drive the front wheels. At the back, there's a third electric motor that drives the rear wheels only. Steering is electrically assisted, of course. Suspension's based around McPherson struts at the front, torsion beam at the rear. Of course, this has disc brakes, but it also has regenerative braking because it is indeed a hybrid. Towing capacity of this hybrid is 1,500 pounds, which is about 500 pounds less than the regular four-cylinder model. Curb weight of this is a little over 4,000 pounds, which is 250 pounds heavier than the naturally aspirated four-cylinder model and about 100 pounds heavier than the four-cylinder turbo CX-50. Did you know that 80% of you are not subscribed? Yes, it's true. 80% of you are not subscribed. I checked the data. So if you like the content on this channel, do me a solid, hit that subscribe button, make sure you like this, and if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Now back to your regularly scheduled episode. Yes, the CX-50's gone hybrid, but I suspect Mazda hasn't traded all the zoom for efficiency, but we're definitely going to find out. Here in the driver's seat, it is all Mazda, and what that means is everything ergonomic is centered around the driver, and that is very much a good thing. For starters, the fundamentals are spot on. You've got a great setup here as a driver. A nice, comfortable seat, decently bolstered. This one, of course, is heated and cooled, but it's supportive, and we've done a fair bit of driving today. What I really do like about this interface is the steering wheel. Right shape, right size, just perfect for a driver-oriented cockpit. And here, I've just set up perfectly. Great relationship to the steering wheel and to the pedals. There is a heads-up display here, which is always helpful. And otherwise, I'm very happy in this driver's seat. For the most part, this interface is unchanged, but one of the differences with this CX-50 hybrid is that the tachometer is gone, and it's now replaced by this power meter that shows if you are charging the battery with some regenerative braking and how much total system power the drivetrain is making. Otherwise, the instrument cluster, typical Mazda, very clear, very straightforward, delivers all the information you want. The second level ergonomics, very simple, straightforward, some secondary controls here on the steering wheel, as well as the adaptive cruise control switches, and everything just works properly. Everything has a great feel to it, definitely a premium feel. Every switch or dial has a positive feel to it. Even the climate controls are simple and straightforward, nothing confusing about it. We do have Mazda's traditional infotainment controller for the system. As you can see, I'm running on Apple CarPlay, works just fine for me, and very happy with the Bose sound system in this trim level as well. It works perfectly. Now, there are some different drive modes, and I've been driving it solely on power, but there is normal as well as trail, and those are optimized for delivering maximum power, of course. And if you do kind of go off-road, you can switch it over to that trail mode. The other thing is that there is an EV mode, and at these speeds, we're not going slow enough to activate. We don't often talk about design on this channel, but I have to talk about it in this case because the design of the interior is driver-centric first, but then minimalist and very pleasing to the eye as well. And on top of that, this upholstery just looks fantastic. Did you know that there's a secret compartment in the CX-50 hybrid? Yes, and the only way to access it is by saying Jinba Itai 3 times. In terms of spaciousness, well, it's a CX-50, so there's plenty of room here in the front seat for you and your passenger. Lots of storage as well, some decent storage under the armrest. In the second row, I've got plenty of room behind myself in this seating position, so lots of room in that second row as well. And under the hatch, lots of cargo carrying capacity as well. And if you need, well, you can put some stuff on the roof rack if you so desire. In terms of acceleration, sure, it's maybe not a rocket ship from a dead stop, but it is quick enough. It'll do 0 to 60 in a couple of ticks over 7 seconds. That's quick enough. But I think the real story is the torque delivery that seems to be available all the time. Because this is a CVT, yes, it's an electronically controlled CVT, which is different than a traditional CVT. Yes, I know, but it still acts like a CVT. What it does is it makes sure that all of the drivetrain's torque that's available is accessible anytime. So when you need to get up to speed, all of that torque is available. And I think that's the real story here. It's a little quicker getting up to speed than I would have expected, given the 0 to 60 time in 7.2, 7.3 seconds. Because we're going slow enough, I can put it in EV mode, and we're just going to discover how fast we can go on EV mode. And now we've switched over. It looks to be about 25 miles per hour. One thing that Mazda did with this electronically controlled CVT is gave it the ability to mimic gears and slide the shifter over, and it kind of acts like an automatic with a manual mode. Works just fine. And on top of that, the shifter is configured correctly. So you pull back to shift up and push forward to shift down. That's the way you'd want to do it. And I'm not surprised that Mazda did it that way, because it's the right way to do it for drivers like us. Now let's try this acceleration here just a little bit. It responds quickly. I'm foot to the floor, maximum power, and revs kind of are climbing, so it does sound a bit natural. But what I do like about this 2.5 liter 4-cylinder is that it operates very smoothly, and there's actually not a lot of harsh sounds coming from it. It actually sounds somewhat satisfying, so it's really not a detraction to the driving experience. And that transition from electric motor to gasoline motor is very, very smooth. There's no harsh startup with the gasoline motor. Mazda has clearly taken the time to calibrate that properly so that that transition from electric motor to gasoline motor is very, very smooth. Fun fact, did you know the hybrid system in the CX-50 is powered by maple syrup and moose sweat, ethically sourced from the Canadian wilderness? I didn't either. True story. Obviously, on a very clear, sunny fall day, we are not testing this all-wheel drive system's ability to deal with low grip situations, so I'm definitely looking forward to trying this at some point during the winter and seeing how this all-wheel drive system actually works in those low grip conditions. I think it's about time we find some corners, shall we? And here we are. Terribly rough road surface, but turn-in response is great. I'm very impressed with body and wheel control here, as well as isolation. It's actually very, very quiet. The car does a great job of filtering out any road imperfections, both through the steering as well as through noise inside the cabin here. For me, the thing with Mazda is that they're supposed to be fun as soon as you turn the steering wheel, and this one responds exactly the way I want. Steering is well weighted, it's strong on center. It clearly responds to me and the way I want this CX-50 to behave in the corners. Braking is another highlight. That pedal effort's a little on the higher side than I was expecting, but brakes are strong, and yes, indeed, you can stop on a dime. What I like about this brake pedal is feels like I've got very precise control with it, and I can control the attitude of the CX-50 just with the brake pedal alone. Because it's a hybrid, there's regenerative braking going on as well, but even so, the blending of brake actuation with regenerative braking is spot on. I've got great feel and control and modulation here, but where the CX-50 shines is in the corners. I've got very precise control of this hybrid crossover here in the corners. The suspension does a great job of soaking up these bumps, and this is doing exactly what I expected it to do in the corners. The suspension is clearly up to the task of having a little bit of fun in the corners for a crossover, but here when we're just cruising along on a straight road, the ride is very comfortable, does a great job of soaking up bumps, and I'm very happy with this suspension setup. Excellent body and wheel control, like I mentioned, and there's very little, if no, secondary movements over larger bumps. Suspension is properly tuned, and drivers like you and me are definitely going to enjoy driving this crossover. I was really hoping that the CX-50 hybrid was going to maintain those traditional CX-50 driving dynamics that I enjoy, and I haven't been disappointed. And I think, if memory serves, this is probably the most satisfying to drive hybrid crossover in the segment. I'm actually enjoying this, and on top, there's just a huge bonus of potential efficiency, and if I did chase fuel consumption numbers, I could probably do pretty decently here. How do you spec yours? Well, there are some considerations to take into account. First of all, this CX-50 hybrid comes in 3 different trim levels. In the US, those are Preferred, Premium, and Premium Plus. In Canada, they're GSL, Kuro, and GT, and essentially they are the same. Preferred, or GSL, is the entry-level trim, comes with 17s, LED headlamps, a power liftgate, the 10-inch infotainment display with wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. The Premium, or the Kuro in Canada, adds things like black roof rails and exhaust tips, a leather upholstery, a power passenger seat, and a Bose premium sound system. The Premium Plus, or GT, is the top-of-the-line trim, comes with 19s, as this one's equipped ventilated front seats, heads-up display, and power folding side mirrors. In the US, the Preferred is priced at $33,970, the Premium $37,400, and the Premium Plus $40,050. In Canada, the GSL starts at $42,950, the Kuro at $44,850, and the GT at $48,350, and these prices are before freight and taxes. Now, in terms of speccing yours, it's going to come down to how much you want to spend and how many features and luxuries that you want in your CX-50 hybrid. As far as I'm concerned, really do like this top trim, love all the features and all the luxuries, and on top of that, I do dig the spec. Red paint, that interior, this is a stunning color combination. My verdict, well, let's start with fuel consumption because that is the name of the game here. Mazda estimates combined fuel economy of this hybrid to be 38 miles per gallon, whereas the naturally aspirated 2.5-liter four-cylinder is rated at 27 miles per gallon combined, while the 2.5-liter turbo is rated at 25 miles per gallon combined. Just that difference alone in fuel economy is a big story. As for me, this is definitely not scientific and definitely not reflective of the real world, but I'm enjoying my time during this day with the CX-50 Hybrid at this launch event. And without even trying, I'm getting about 30 miles per gallon, or about 8 liters per 100 kilometers from my Canadian friends. And for someone who loves to use the throttle and does enjoy driving, I think that's impressive, especially since I have not been chasing any fuel consumption numbers. Fun fact, if you drive your CX-50 Hybrid with a flannel like I do, it's got a special feature in the navigation system that recognizes I'm dressed appropriately and it'll give me directions to the nearest craft brewery. After spending the day with this CX-50, is it a game changer? Well, that depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for something that is a total fuel miser, this isn't it. If you're looking for something that is satisfying to drive and will save some fuel, well, this might be the trick. And especially since it still maintains Mazda's Jinba Itai philosophy and the connectedness between you, the driver, and the car. This is definitely a bold step for Mazda, and I think a step in the right direction, but they're stepping into a market that is saturated with hybrids. This still delivers on the practicality of a crossover as well as the promise of efficiency, but it does so without sacrificing the driving dynamics that Mazda is known for. What I dig about this CX-50 is that it's carving its own path. It's not just another hybrid, it's a Mazda, and that says it all, because on this channel, we know Mazda builds and engineers cars for drivers, and this is a driver's hybrid crossover. Thanks for hanging out with me today on this first drive of the 2025 Mazda CX-50 Hybrid. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, you're not new, you know what to do. Smash the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, like this, and as always, sharing is caring, so please share this with your friends, especially on Reddit, because on Reddit, they really need to see reviews for drivers, from drivers. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below, lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including a very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time. And remember, cars don't understeer by themselves, not even CX-50 hybrids. And if you've hung around this long, well, please have a look at our last episode about the CX-50, and I think you might enjoy it. See you again next time.